So here we have the assignment to basically give a level analysis of a game, and I chose to do the very start of the dwarf starting zone, just the starting zone for the dwarf, Coldridge Valley in Dunmorrow. And so here, let me just get this started with the opening cinematic for the dwarves.
The stoic dwarves of Ironforge spent countless generations mining treasures from deep within the earth. Hidden within their impregnable stronghold of Ironforge Mountain, they rarely ventured beyond the wintry peaks of Dunmorrow. Recently, however, the dwarves unearthed a series of ruins that held secrets to their ancient heritage. Driven to discover the truth about his people's fabled origins, the great king Magni Bronzebeard ordered that the dwarves shift their industry from mining to archaeology. As part of the Grand Alliance, the stalwart dwarven armies have been called away to battle the merciless horde in faraway lands. In these perilous times, the defense of the Mountain Kingdom falls to brave dwarves like you. The spirits of the ancient kings watch over you, and the very mountains are your strength. The future of your people is in your hands.
And there we have the very beginning of the dwarf starting zone. We've got opening introduction. The same narrator does the introduction for each starting zone cinematic for all of the races. And they just give a brief summary of the story up till now of the dwarves, since I'm playing a dwarf. Camera's not working right, but oh well. So basically each starting zone starts like this, where you spawn in and you have a quest immediately.
Great to meet you.
First quest we have here is basically to go and kill some wolves and get some tough wolf meat. This is a kill collect quest. We're going to be seeing a lot of different quests in the starting zone as they're introducing us to everything that we can find in the game. So to start with, we have a hunter. Hunters use a ranged weapon. So I'm going to start by hitting 3 on my keyboard to start shooting. And you'll see the health bars going down as I shoot it, but as the enemy gets close to me, I can no longer shoot, because in Classic WoW, the guns do not shoot when you are in close range. You have to go to melee. And you'll see down here on the button for shoot, the number has turned red, and red in general in this game means you cannot do something. So I'm going to hit Raptor Strike to start melee, and I will eventually kill this wolf. There we go. And we get some ruined pelts. Those are just random items that you collect in the game. And you will see a lot of items with gray names throughout the game. Those are just vendor trash, generally. In this early zone, we will also see some armor, like that right there. How about that for timing? That has a gray name, but is also useful for us. So if I open the character screen, drag the armor over, you'll see down here my armor's at 40. Put it on. It's now at 71, so I'm much more protected. And you also see that my chest changed as well. You can see a slight change in the armor because each armor has their own appearance. So, moving on, we're going to continue this kill quest, and I'm probably going to skip forward until I complete it, so I can cut down the length of this video. And there we have the first level, because in the starting zone, the first level is generally timed to be right around the time of us completing the first quest. I have had some actually pretty bad luck on these drops so far. Usually you get a drop for nearly every one of these wolves except for one, but I've had a good 3 or 4 that haven't given me the tough wolf meat, so I am ahead of the game as far as leveling goes, which will make things a little interesting later with regards to bullets, but I'll talk about that later. There we have the last piece of meat. One thing to note here is I did get a pair of bracers as well, but you can see on the label it says male in red text. That means that this character cannot wear male, therefore it cannot wear this piece. Later in the game, hunters will be able to wear male, but at my current level I cannot, so this is worthless to me. So I'll go up to this guy, go to complete the quest, and we'll have an option of loot right here. I'm gonna choose Wolf Handler Gloves because it's the only one that, well, it's the best armor for me that I can wear. And this is just part of the starting zone teaching you the things you can and cannot wear, so on and so forth. It's also about to teach us where our trainer is. That's that quest right there. And this quest will be a breadcrumb quest that takes us through the rest of the zone. We've got one more quest here that is just a normal kill quest to kill some trogs. I'm going to do that and then be right back. One important thing I forgot to mention at the start is targeting. So in this game, there are no external guides. There's no text that pops up that said, this is how you attack, this is how you target. But as people on the internet, we know that when there is a mouse, we can click on things. And in this, the mouse will change to a sword when it targets something that you can attack. So you go up to it and click it, and now suddenly it is targeted, and any attacks that you do will be focused on that enemy. And with that, we will be completing the end of this quest here. Well, that was a nice crit. And running back to the starting area here. So far we have learned that to attack, you use these buttons down here. With the range attacks of the of the hunters, you can only attack from certain ranges. If you get too close, you will be unable to attack. I'm going to choose to get the bear shawl here. And one thing you're going to notice is that the inventory starts to fill up. We haven't found any extra bags yet, but we have a vendor right here that we can sell all of our excess gear to. So I'm just going to go through and quickly sell all of the gray named items. We also have things such as water and food in here, which will increase our health and mana. A hearthstone, which we're not really going to use, but basically is quick teleport back to a home point. And then we've got quest items. So now that we have that quest done, we are going to follow this path, and in Coldridge Valley, you'll see it down here in the bottom left, there is a path that will take you to all of the quests in the zone. As long as you stay on the path, you will see every single quest in the zone. So we will be following that later, but first we're going to go inside this building here, which is where the trainers are located. So we'll go in here. This is general dwarven architecture that you'll see throughout the game, usually very round buildings, some kind of large hearth in the center that also includes some kind of blacksmithing reference, and also many kegs, because they are big fans of booze.
You got my attention.
So with this character, you talk to him, and we are told, hey, this is where you go to learn skills. We'll see that there's a bunch of skill options here. Most of them are red because we are not high enough level to use them yet, which is another thing. Like I mentioned before, red means you cannot use it, or you cannot use it yet. Green means we can use it, so we will see track beast here as a skill I can learn. So I'm going to train in that. And that will appear down in spellbook and abilities. You'll see there's a flashing tab here. And we can just drag that into our hotbar and click that, and now on the top right it'll show that we are tracking beasts, and I'll show you what that does in a little bit. Also going to pick up this quest, which is a straight up collect quest instead of the kill collect quest we did earlier. And that is a quest where you need to read the text or you're never going to complete it, because it has you pick up 3 items in three very specific locations. And talking about the tracking, now we see on the map all beasts, all things that are classified as beasts. If you mouse over an enemy in the bottom right, it'll say that it is, for example, this is a level 1 beast. That is the type, and you'll see types for nearly all enemies in Classic. The only exceptions are enemies that are kind of like oozes and whatnot, which don't have a class type. But the rest of these will be beasts, or mechanical, or humanoid, so on and so forth. So that's another thing that's teaching you about the game, because there are certain bonuses and certain abilities that apply to certain beasts. For example, Hunter later on gets a spell called Scare Beast, which can only be used on enemies classified as beasts, which will cause them to run in fear. So here we have the next quest in the mail quest chain, where we basically go talk to this guy, say, hey, here's your mail. Very good. And he's like, hey, there's one more letter here, and you have to take it to the camp that's down that way. So we'll do that. More basically guiding you through the zone without specifically having a guide there for you. It's just saying, hey, you will continue along this route. And also, here's another side quest. Go kill some boars, and this will give us more experience and more gear. So I'll be back after I do this. And with that, we have killed the very last boar. While I was doing that, I also managed to pick up a nice pair of boots and a belt. And those just are actually very fortunate, because usually in these runs I find I don't get a belt at all. So with this pair of pants being put on, the only thing I am missing now is wrist, and then I will have the maximum armor that you can have leaving this zone, which is cool. Because the other slots, like rings and trinkets, shoulder, neck, head, those are things you cannot find in this starter zone. Another thing I should mention about the minimap, since we now have all these dots on it, is the yellow dots are points of interest that are important to you. So, for example, if you have a ability to track ore, those will appear in yellow dots. And as you just saw, quest completions also appear in yellow dots. We are not going to pick up this quest here because this is a time quest, and I'll show you how that works later. So one thing I want to note here before we go to this enemy is because you'll see they have a different name now. If I walk up to this random wolf here, he's got a yellow name. If I go next to it, it's not going to care. It's not going to attack me unless I attack it. This guy, however, is different. I go up near him. He'll suddenly start attacking me without being provoked. This is another thing that's very important that the game teaches you, and that is that red-named enemies will attack you, and they're often more dangerous, so you'll need to be careful in areas where there are many red-named enemies nearby, because they will all attack you at once and can very easily kill you. I'm thinking of, for example, there's a zone called Stranglethorn Valley, with a bunch of trolls like these, and they'll often travel in packs, and it is very easy for multiple packs to be pulled onto you, to swarm on you, and kill you. And in Classic WoW, death is something that's very easy to come by. So we're going to be going up to this first little troll camp here, and on the ground is Felix's Bucket of Bolts. That is the collect quest that we picked up in the building over there earlier. Like I said, it's something that you will need to actually read the quest to do, so that's teaching you to read through the game, because that's a common thing in Classic WoW, is you will need to actually read in order to accomplish things. There is no, like, big graphs on the map or anything, nothing pointing, hey, this is where you need to go. That's something that's added in later versions of the game, but in this version, unless you have an add-on, you will need to actually read to make sure that you know what you are doing. So that's another quick thing that this starting zone teaches you. Because this whole zone is about basically introducing you to the game in an organic way. There's no pop-ups on the screen that tell you, hey, you need to do this. It is all through the quests inside the game, and through reading the abilities and so on and so forth. One thing that you might have seen me doing back there was I was mousing around looking at things, and that's because in this area we will also see our first chests. Chests are things that you will find throughout the game that are just random spawns in certain locations, and they can have all kinds of fun loot inside. One cool thing that dwarves have is a racial. If we open our spellbook and abilities and go to the general tab, you will see the find treasure racial. This is there are a great many tracking abilities in this game, especially hunters get a lot for nearly every creature type, but dwarves specifically get find treasure. So if I click that, you'll see on the map there is a dot that says there's a battered chest there. So we will loot that in a second once we clear out these enemies. And also in this camp we will find the next item in the collect quest, which is Felix's chest. And we just got very lucky. In the starter zone, one of the most valuable things you can get is a small pouch. This adds extra inventory slots to your bag, so I open these and I now have many more slots to carry things, which is very cool. My previous runs I was doing testing this, I did not get any. Another fun thing that we're going to learn here is if you try to access a chest and there's an enemy nearby, sometimes their aggro range will expand. Doesn't seem like it did this time, but sometimes that will happen where if they aren't attacking you before but you start to interact with the chest, they will jump you. We'll see if that happens here. Nope, that guy doesn't care at all. Okay, thank you, friend. I'm just going to take this and leave. So in that chest, we had items like tough jerky and Darnassan Blue, just pieces of food that we can eat to restore health, and just some random pants. Later in the game, there will be some very valuable things you can find in chests. You can get things like recipes to different crafting things. You can get rare resources, gold, all that kind of fun stuff. We also got, it looks like 17 copper from that chest, as opposed to the 2, 3, 5 copper we've been getting from enemies. So it is a very, very cool racial that dwarves have to be able to track those. But they can also carry you into dangerous situations where you might bite off more than you can chew in the hopes of getting a chest. But for now, I'm just going to go and clear through the rest of these enemies and be back in a second. Alright, we have now finished the troll killing quest and the collecting of the objects quest. So we will go to this guy, claim the reward. The only item that you can get from these choose your rewards is the hand axe. Complete that and equip it. This is how we're doing more damage in the melee department. And collect that quest, we'll do that in a bit. So normally at this point, we would have these three items here. There'd be no small brown pouch, and I would be talking about inventory management, because this next quest will give us another item that we have to carry back, and that, on top of the three quest items and as well as all the loot, would normally limit our inventory space, so we have to throw something out, which is, I would definitely say, is the most of the point of the quest to collect these three items, because they're used to fill up an inventory where you don't have much space. So just teaching you, hey, you've got limited inventory, you gotta make sure that you are either selling things often or making sure that you're managing it well. So we're going to accept this quest, which is actually a timed quest, another type of quest that we will see in the game. Not very often, but sometimes it will appear, which adds this Scalding Morn Brew with a duration of 5 minutes. Now, this is a kind of quest where, at least in the starting zone, this type of quest will never actually run out of time. You're going to get there before it runs out of time, but for the sake of teaching you about this quest, it gives you it anyway. So we got to run back to the one building inside this entire place, which also provides an excuse to go and talk to our trainer again and actually learn some skills. So run back to this. I don't know if I would necessarily call this a weenie like we talked about in class, because there's so many trees that cover everything, but it is the only large building in the area, and it's a kind of hub point, a safe area that we can use. So I think it could be defined as that. So we'll turn in that quest, get rid of those three things taking up inventory slots, and then go into this back area, talk to this fella, turn in the brew, and then we will bring the mug back, because we've got to be respectful. We can't just take the mug and then leave it there. And now we have an excuse to actually talk to the trainer now that we have higher level. We're now level 5 instead of level 3 that we were at before, so we can acquire Aspect of the Monkey and Serpent Sting. These two are level 6, so we can't actually acquire them yet.
Watch your back.
So we will open Spellbook and Abilities, and a new tab, Beast Mastery, will have appeared. And inside that we'll have Aspect of the Monkey, which will teach us about aspects. Hunters have many different aspects they can use. They can only use one at a time, and they'll buff different things about the character. So Aspect of the Monkey increases dodge. Aspect of the Hawk increases attack power, ranged attack power. There are ones like Aspect of the Cheetah, which will increase your run speed, which is a very useful one. Another thing that is introduced is Serpent Sting, which is a sting. Stings are another thing where you can only use one at a time on an enemy, but they have all different kinds of things. So like Serpent Sting will give poison damage on the enemy. You will also have things like Wyvern Sting if you go down one of these specific paths in Talents. And I think that one stuns. I never really used that one. There's also a sting that decreases the stats of an enemy, pardon me. We turn in this quest here, give this mug back, and now we're going to do the final main quest in the zone, which is to go inside this cave and kill a big bad. And another thing I forgot to mention earlier was the track beast thing. There are many, many tracking options, so this is just a way to give you a taste of one of them before you start to learn about the other ones later on in the game. So Serpent Sting, you can only apply it once, and then it's a damage over time effect that'll last a bit, so you just start each combat with that, and it'll tick as time goes on. Helps a lot with damage. Just once again introducing us to stings as a mechanic. And I'm going to clear to the back of this cave, and then be back in a moment. Alright, and here we are at the goal of the cave. This guy drops a journal, and with him being dead, we'll be able to complete the zone and actually go out into the world. I'm gonna wait for that guy to stop pathing because he's gonna be a pain. But one thing I will note is starting at level 5, any enemies that have a red name, if there's another enemy that is attacked nearby that is of their same kind of grouping, then they will join as well. So, for example, if I just straight up attack this guy that's level 5, his friend here is level 4, so he would not aggro on me. But if I attack the level 4, because it is level 5 that is next to him, he will aggro. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to do the more dangerous thing and aggro the little guy. So I'm going to shoot him. Immediately, Gricknir is going to start chasing me down as well. I'm going to drop poison shot on him just to get some dots going on him. Finish off the troll whelp, and then I'll take on this guy. Now luckily in this starting zone it is fairly easy to fight things. Later on in the game, doing something risky like that can get you killed very quickly. So he's going to knock out this guy. One thing that I should have mentioned is the back of this cave also introduced us to this guy who's called a Frostmaiden Novice, which is the first caster that we fight. So he was shooting frostbows. I think I will just include me attacking him before when I'm editing this. There's also a battered chest in here, so that's fun, but I'm not going to go and grab that. And another thing that I should have mentioned at the very beginning of this cave was that every starting zone also introduces us to caves. Caves are places that are much tighter and harder to get through, and offer a lot of line of sight issues if you're a ranged player, which can also be abused against ranged enemies. So if you've got a ranged enemy there, you have to duck behind this and break line of sight, and they will have to run up to you in order to attack you. So different things that you can manipulate in an area like this. I'm just going to run by this guy. I'm not really going to care about him. I've completed my objective here, and he's not going to really hurt me that much. Goodbye, friends. I killed your leader, and there's nothing you can do about it. Although I am going to kill a couple more, I'll show you why in a second. So I'm shooting this guy. Just quickly kill him. One thing that you'll notice is that his name had the level on the health bar is green. That means the enemy is weak. It is below. I'm currently level 6, so level 3 means 3 levels below. 3 levels or below is green, and if you get to a certain point level difference, the letter will be straight up gray. Letter, number. I can't speak. All right, so we're about to see something that's very important for hunters to learn. I'm gonna shoot him, and suddenly I have no ammo. Can't shoot anymore because my ammo pouch has run out of ammo. Another thing that the starting zone teaches hunters specifically is ammo use, because they give you just enough ammo to get through the starter zone, and that's it. So that's the last enemy I'm going to kill in here, and I'm also out of ammo. So I'm forced to go melee. The actual skills that are ranged are grayed out right now. I'm gonna talk to this guy. And now this will send me on a quest to actually leave the zone. But wait, full inventory. Because earlier I actually forgot to throw something out. So I'm going to drag and drop that and click anywhere on the screen that isn't the bag, and I'll be able to destroy it.
What's on your mind?
Easy peasy. And that is basically the end of the starting zone. It'll actually have us run back to where we first started. Where my mouse is right there, that's the first initial camp. And from that camp, we'll take the road. That is kind of the lifeblood of this zone, and lead us out of the zone. Because like I said, every single quest that you will do on this, you can find the quest on the road. Which is just a part of teaching players how to do this. So, of course, later on in the game, there will be quests where they'll be hidden in random places that are off-road, but for the simplicity of a tutorial level, as this is, it has you just stay on the road. So I'm going to sell all this other random junk, even though I'm going to delete this character after I'm done here, but for the sake of it, nice, almost 4 silver. And we will follow the road towards the future. We'll go up this hill. This is a kind of, I don't know what exactly to call it, but it is a kind of ascending moment. We're ascending out of the tutorial, so we will actually go and exist in the main game itself. There is a friend to greet us that we'll give this quest to, and then he'll send us on our way to the first quest hub of the actual game. We'll grab that, and then this guy here will give us another quest to go to that same area. Every zone has a quest that sends you to the end of the main questing zone of the zone. So after we exit here, there's a road here that brings us to a city named Karanos. And I will not actually go there. I'm going to end this right here. But yeah, let's just dance real quick and hang out. So the level itself, we start down here in Coleridge Valley in that first little nub. We are shown our first kill collect quest, our first kill quest, delivery quest, and a breadcrumb quest that will take us through the zone. We learn about where we will train. We also pick up a straight up collect quest. We continue to gather experience and learn to fight different enemies. We fought wolves and trogs here. We fought boars, we fought trolls, which are the main enemies that you will fight in this first main starting zone. Dun Moreau is the name of the zone. Those are, if I'm not mistaken, besides like a couple yetis, those are the only enemies that you fight in this zone, are boars, wolves, trogs, and trolls. All condensed in this little area. We learn about inventory management, we learn about the different types of attacks you learn, because Serpent Sting is a running thing that, or stings in general are things that you will use as a hunter. Aspects are a running thing. Track is a thing that you'll learn. All that kind of fun stuff. We were lucky enough to get a small pouch, which is very important for inventory management. We'll want to fill all these slots with small pouches. Hunters have the unfortunate curse of having one of their slots taken up by an ammo pouch, which is later taken out of the game, but for now, hunters have to deal with that. And yeah, that's the basics of the starting zones. Well, specifically for the dwarf and gnome starting zone, but this is something that applies to all the starting zones in the game. It also introduces us to dwarven architecture. A lot of these kind of rounded doorways, rounded buildings, mine carts, things that have to do with mining, blacksmithing, and brewing beer are the main things that you will see with dwarves. Also fantastic beards. Look at that guy. Beautiful. And yeah, now I'm going to have to go and edit through all this and send it in for the assignment. Thank you for watching. Look at that nose too. Glorious.